everyone, and welcome to another episode of Radiant Central, and I'm your host, Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So today I want to talk about rice. Someone had sent me an email asking me what my opinion is on white rice. Do I consider it to be a good part of a healthy diet, or does one need to be eating brown rice? Great question. This person asked me this question because in one of my videos I'd mentioned my husband, and my husband's Indonesian and he eats a traditional Indonesian diet, which means he eats rice 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He eats a big amount of white rice with vegetables and some sort of protein. So the protein could be fish or meat or eggs or vegetable protein. And this is the diet he's in his entire life. And everyone here, this is what they eat. Rice 3 times a day. And for a lot of people, they don't consider it a meal without having rice. And I would say half the world's population eats a rice-based diet similar to this. And so this person was asking me, if half the world's population is eating white rice, is it all that bad, right? Because I would say most of these populations are not eating brown rice, they're not eating a whole grain rice, they're eating white rice. And in the West, there's so much information and promotion to eat whole grains, right? To eat whole wheat. That's a big one in the West, right? That they're telling people to stay away from white flour or foods that are made out of white flour, and to go more with foods that are made out of whole wheat and whole wheat flours and other whole grains. And so automatically people think, well, gotta eat whole grains, gotta eat the brown rice, gotta eat the black rice or the red rice or the wild rice. Stay away from the white rice because that's bad. That's has no nutrition in it. And so that's the information people are given in the West, and then they look over on the other side of the world and they see everyone eats white rice. And a lot of populations on this side of the world, we can use Japan as a great example of this, it's very healthy, and they eat a rice-based diet, and they're not eating brown rice, they're eating white rice. So what's going on here? And what do I think of white rice? So the first thing I have to say, though, from my experience living in Indonesia and what I've seen and what I know about rice here is that the rice that's actually producing grown here, for example, is grown for the local population. It's not considered export quality rice. And what export quality rice is it's a fully polished rice. And the husk, the germ, the whole outer coating of the rice kernel has been removed. And then it's packaged and it's sold abroad. What is produced here is what would be considered non-export quality, and it's not fully polished rice. Even though it appears to be white rice, and it tastes like white rice, and it's fluffy like white rice, and it looks like white rice, there's still a little bit of the germ, there's still a little bit of the husk it's on the rice. Not a lot, but it's not fully polished. So the rice here is actually still retaining some nutrients, more so than a fully polished rice would have. And this, I'm sure, is the same for other countries throughout the world that are growing stuff for its local population and that don't have an industry where they're exporting it abroad. So that's one thing to consider, is that maybe the rice that people are eating, the white rice that they're eating on this side of the world or in other areas where they're eating a rice-based diet, they might not be eating a fully polished rice. So they are getting more nutrients from their rice. Another thing to consider too is that rice, for a population that has a rice-based diet, the rice is usually their main source of carbohydrates. They're not eating white flours, they're not eating processed food, they're not eating fast food, they're not eating junk, right? A lot of these populations are still eating their traditional diet, and which is a whole food diet, right? They're still eating their white rice with the vegetables and with some sort of protein, but they're not eating like diet that's full of processed stuff. Nowadays, a lot of that stuff is starting to seep into sort of the mainstream, but they're still sticking predominantly with their traditional diet. And so therefore, that's why you see in a lot of countries that stick to their traditional diet, there's less disease. And then you see other countries that are starting to develop more or becoming more and more industrialized, and I think a good example of that would be India, is that they're starting to get a lot of the Western diseases like diabetes and heart disease and things like that. And that's because they're introducing more and more processed food. Okay, and so therefore they're also introducing more sort of Western diseases. So in general, I would say that when I look at white rice, and if someone's eating a healthy whole food diet around eating white rice, I don't see a problem with it. with brown rice, when you compare white rice with brown rice or other whole grain rices, is that one thing, even though on paper the brown rice has more nutrients in it, it's way easier to digest the white rice. And a lot of times the brown rice or the whole grain rice actually has a lot of phytates in it that are considered sort of like an anti-nutrient. That even though it has a lot of nutrients in it, it's actually very difficult or almost impossible for the body to absorb the nutrients from it. So sometimes some things appear to have a lot more in it, but there's a block to it. You can't actually absorb it. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to digest. So with the white rice is that there is still some nutrients in it, and it's very easy to digest. Plus, with white rice, compared to all other grains, is the most non-allergenic, most benign grain out there, right? I don't really know anyone that actually has an allergy to white rice. I know that people that have certain issues with diabetes or insulin resistance and blood sugar issues, they should of course avoid white rice because it's very starchy and it is higher glycemic. But no one actually has issues with having an allergy to it, and it's very easy to digest, and for a lot of people it's their best sort of carbohydrate source. So that's something to consider. Another thing too to consider is that I guess in recent years, since maybe about 2012, I would say in the past 2-3 years, there's been a lot of information coming out about arsenic in different foods, and specifically in rice, that there's high levels of it found, especially with rice grown in the southern part of the United States, that arsenic has been found, high levels of it in the germ of the rice. So high levels are found in brown rice compared to white rice. And it's not rice from all over the world, but it's in certain locations where they were using pesticides on other crops either next door to it or previously before they started growing rice. And so those pesticides stayed in the soil and found in the rice. And so if that's an issue and if that's something you're concerned about, definitely look into where you can find rice that has lower levels of arsenic in it. And it's actually, I would say Asia has better rice when it comes down to that. And so that's another argument towards eating white rice compared to eating brown rice, is that lower levels of pesticides and heavy metals. So that's my thing with the rice. Now, what do I do? What do I eat? Do I eat brown rice or red rice or wild rice or black rice or white rice? What do I do? I eat all rices. I eat white rice, I eat brown rice, yellow rice, red rice, wild rice, all rices. I love rice, and for me and my family, it is a big part of our diet. My husband still eats rice 3 times a day. I do not. I cannot. Once in a while, if I go and see his family and we're staying in Lombok, which is another island, and that's what they eat is rice 3 times a day, then that's what I have to do. But at home, I don't eat rice 3 times a day. I just don't. But in general, I do eat more white rice than I do brown rice or black rice or red rice, but I do still keep that in my diet here and there, and I really actually like the taste of it, and I find that I get fuller when I eat brown rice or red rice or other whole grain rices. So that's what I do, and my husband doesn't mind it so much that sometimes I actually mix the two up. I'll add in the brown rice with the white rice, and that too can be easier to digest, and then you're getting the best of both worlds. So that's my view of rice. I find rice in general, it's a very benign food, it's a good carbohydrate source, it's a good source of energy, it fills people up, and you can eat wonderful vegetables and proteins and natural foods with it. So if you're not eating any processed food, I don't see any problem with eating white rice. But if you're eating a lot of processed food and a lot of flour and things like that, then stay away from the white rice because it's just yet one more processed thing. All right, so that's my view. And also I just want to remind everyone too, the next 10-day juice fasting program, it begins next Tuesday, July 8th. If you want to do a 10-day juice fast, it's the summertime for those in North America, so it's beautiful weather. And it's just a great time of year to do a juice fast. And it's a group effort, it's a group program, it's an online program, so All you need is your computer and internet connection and either a juicer or blender to make the juices. And it's 10 days of doing freshly pressed juices. And with the program, you're given an outline as to what to do for the juice fast, and also what to eat before the juice fast, and how to break the juice fast. And also there's a forum where you get to connect with everyone doing the juice fast. There's support and group motivation and inspiration. And there's videos I've made specifically to walk you through the juice fast. So every day there's a daily video, which is about 20 to 40 minutes long, that walk you through everything you need to know about the juice fast. And I'm on the forum every day answering questions and offering additional support. So you're not alone when you're doing the juice fast. It's great for beginners. It's great for people that have done juice fast before. Everyone's welcome. So if you want more information on it, you can go to my website at radiantcentral.com, click on products, and you'll see 10-day juice fasting program there. And it starts July 8th. Have a super fabulous day, everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.